On the eastern coast of Texas lies an island named Galveston Island. This island stretches 30 miles long and 3 miles wide. To many Texans, this island is a vacation destination for its prestigious beaches, peaceful atmosphere, and an all-around relaxation vibe. People drive for hours to journey to Galveston to escape the city's busy life, listen to waves crashing, their children laughing, and seagulls chirping in the wind. Some even come for Pleasure Pier, an excellent theme park on a pier overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. Many do not realize that Galveston was once a major port for the United States of America and a vastly growing economic city. It was once called the Wall Street of the South for the many startup businesses it obtained. Most of the buildings from these startup businesses can still be seen today while walking the Strand. Many Texas businesses began in Galveston, including the University of Texas Medical College and a public library. One famous family responsible for the financial growth in Galveston is the Moody family. The first Moody to come to Galveston was William Lewis Moody Sr., also known as Colonel Moody. In the book, The Moodys of Galveston and Their Mansion, Henry Wincheck states, "In the roster of American entrepreneurs, there are few families whose talent for empire building exceeds that of the Moodys of Galveston."
W.L. Moody was a young man who grew up in Virginia and got a law degree and moved to Texas in the 1850s. He settled in Fairfield, Texas, and started a small law practice, but he was also a partner in a mercantile company for a while, and then he joined the Confederate Army and fought in the Civil War. He was captured and injured and decorated for his valor during the war, but he escaped. I mean, he got out of the Army in good shape. He came back, but he was not all that happy with where the activity had gone, where the Civil War had gone. Obviously, they lost the war, but he also just was disillusioned with life in the military. So he moved to Galveston. He had one son at that time, a year old, W.L. Moody Jr., and he and his wife, Farabee, moved to Texas, moved to Galveston, and there they set up a cotton trading company. They would buy cotton from farmers from the rest of Texas, sell it, ship it, and that's what they did as their main business. He was one of the founders of the Galveston Cotton Exchange, which was what all the traders who traded in cotton based their price of a bale of cotton on back in those days, back in the late 1800s. So he was making his money off of cotton. If we're going to buy and sell cotton, we need a way to ship it around the world. So he was one of the driving forces behind the deepening of the water of the port. So he developed the port. And then he decided we need a railroad to get some of that cotton into Galveston and get the people back and forth from Galveston. And so they established the railroad, the Gulf Colorado and Santa Fe Railroad. And that took commerce up into the heartlands of Texas. And then he decided we really ought to have a bank to take the money and give the money, you know, when a farmer comes into town, he made and put the money in the bank, so they established a bank. And sooner or later they decided, well, there ought to be some kind of insurance company that would insure that that farming operation during a bad times, and so they established an insurance company. That was an original kind of vertical integration. You know, you have a product, you want to sell it, so you build a railroad, and then you build a bank, and then you build an insurance company, and you have control over all these operations. And his son came along, W.L. Jr., and he expanded on that idea greatly. He took the banking and insurance industry into the 20th century.
By 1878, Galveston was the third largest U.S. port for cotton. By 1896, the largest cargo ship could enter Galveston Bay, and cotton sales went from 22% to 64% within that year. Everything seemed to be going well for Galveston Island. Money was flowing and businesses were booming. But on September 8, 1900, that all changed. Still known today as the deadliest storm to hit American soil, Galveston was struck by a massive hurricane with wind speeds up to 145 miles per hour. It is uncertain the total death count, but researchers speculate that around 8,000 people lost their lives, while many others lost their homes. It took nearly 5 months to find all the bodies of the lives lost during the storm. Some were trapped under debris and drowned in high flood waters, while the 15.7-foot storm surge swept away many others. There was an estimated $1.25 billion in damages. What made things worse was that the causeway bridge that allowed for help and supplies to reach Galveston from the mainland was destroyed. It took nearly a week for help to be able to arrive by boat. The 1900 storm nearly destroyed Galveston, and many did not think Galveston could ever recover from such a tragedy, but they did. The Moody family was one of the few families that remained on the island and continued to prosper without being in financial ruin from the 1900 storm. After the 1900 storm, William Moody Jr. and his wife Libby purchased their family home, which is known today as the Moody Mansion. The Moody Mansion was one of the few structures to withstand the 1900 storm. It was built in 1895 and purchased by Mr. and Mrs. Moody Jr. for $20,000. In the 28,000 square foot, 4-story mansion, the Moodys raised their 4 children. Their oldest daughter, Mary Moody, remained in the home until 1986 and is responsible for turning her childhood home into a public history museum. When you step into the Moody Mansion, you are taken back in time to the Gilded Age, when an aristocratic family of Galveston lived there. As you enter, you are surrounded by solid wood walls and floors in the foyer. But it doesn't stop there. The dining room was the biggest of its time, with solid wood walls and metal beams in the walls to withstand the weight of the upstairs. The women's parlor is gorgeous, with angel paintings on the ceilings and golden trim, creating that sophisticated feminine atmosphere. The library is covered in cherry wood to form a relaxing vibe. Mr. Moody turned it into his office so he could work from home and be with his family more often. The Moodys were notable for being a close family. The room meant to be the billiards room was instead used as the family room, where the family gathered after meals. In addition to all the other breathtaking views of the home, a stained glass window is on the staircase. In many rooms, Mary Moody's artifacts, such as her clothes and jewelry, are on display for guests to witness how she once dressed in her lifetime on Galveston Island. When William Moody Jr. passed away in 1954, his daughter, Mary Moody, inherited the 50 businesses that her father owned. During this time, the Moody family was one of the wealthiest families in America. In the book Galveston, written by Ray Miller, he states regarding the Moody Foundation in 1954 that it was reported at the time to be the 3rd richest foundation in the country. Only the Rockefeller and the Ford foundations were believed to be bigger. Mary Moody loved all people and felt drawn to helping the Native Americans as she thought they had been mistreated. When she traveled, she made it her mission to support their businesses. The Moody family is the first financial donor for education in Texas. They were responsible for making A&M University of Galveston possible. The Moody Foundation organization offers college scholarships to private and public high school students on Galveston Island. The Moody Foundation website states that they have helped over 5,000 students go to college. Several college buildings are named after the Moody family in honor of their generous donations to education. The Moody Northern Endowment offered funds to Galveston College to help them purchase a unique building that used to be the island's orphanage. Today, it is Moody Hall, located at Galveston Community College. Another building named after the Moodys is the Moody Library at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas. Another school founded by the Moodys is the Moody Early Learning Childhood Center, a preschool for the youngest generation of Galvestonians. Robert Moody Sr., the nephew of Mary Moody, was big into research and created Moody Gardens, now known as one of the biggest tourist attractions in Texas. It is a conservation and rehabilitation center for ocean and rainforest animals located in Galveston, Texas. Galveston is full of history, from its historic buildings to its Victorian historic homes. In the New York Times, Robert Reinhold wrote, "The causeway that leads across Galveston Bay to the long, narrow barrier island is like a time machine transporting the visitor into a 19th century world of light and airy Victorian, Gothic, and Greek Revival buildings and homes." The Moody family focuses on historic preservation and educating the public, including young people, regardless of the topic. 23 years after the Moody Mansion opened as a public museum, the basement was converted into a children's museum, known today as the Galveston Children's Museum. Here, children of all ages can enjoy various activities and learn new skills. Even adults are known to enjoy the museum. Other museums funded by the Moody family are the 1877 tall ship Alyssa and the Santa Fe Railroad Station, now known as Galveston's Railroad Museum. All along Galveston Island are numerous buildings the Moodys have either built or businesses they have helped fund for renovations. No matter what part of the island, something can be witnessed about the Moody family.
Knowing about the Moodys, first of all, is if you're interested in history, Galveston history is really, really unique. And learning about the Moody family is really learning about Galveston history and Texas history as well. But so first of all, just knowing about their lifetimes is interesting, and history is valuable in itself. It's not just a study of cold hard facts. It's a study of people and what they did. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, the Moody family always emphasized family. They always had a strong family dynamic, and they were always interested in doing what was right for each other. And I think that's really important also. Another thing is that, as I mentioned, Mrs. Moody saved everything. And that's an important lesson. I mean, it's not that we need to save our napkins or anything, but we need to preserve our family history. We need to preserve our family items that reflect, remind, and tell us about our past, where we came from. And I think that's very important. Keep good records of your family and save the things that are important. And finally, I think loyalty, if one thing typifies the Moody businesses, I would say it's loyalty to the employees. There are people who have worked for the Moody family for generations, 3 or 4 generations of people working for the Moody family in the hotels, in the bank, the insurance, schools. They're loyal to each other, and they don't they don't take that lightly. That's an important aspect of doing business.